The person we have here today has a journey one of a kind. He started as civil engineer at IIT Kanpur, followed by an MBA at IIM Ahmedabad. His versatility speaks for itself with his experience as a tech analyst who went on to become a financial management consultant to start the first real estate unicorn. Yes, we are referring to NoBroker and one of its founders, Mr. Amit Agarwal. NoBroker started with an idea formed by unanimous experience of the co-founders, a tedious and tiring house hunt process. So let's move on to a conversation with Mr. Amit for deeper insights on what NoBroker is and what it stands for, and how their journey has been so far. So Amit, how the year 2020 has been for you personally and professionally?
Professionally, the year has been pretty amazing because finally this year has been the year in which was largely free of COVID. The earlier years were pretty turbulent because of COVID. Real estate did pretty well. We have become a one-stop shop, and we can talk more about it. That worked really well. And personally, I think happy to be out and traveling a bit, finally out of confines of home.
People traveled a lot last year then.
Yeah, yes.
So Amit, NoBroker biggest disruption from my eyes has been the impact on rental transactions. A much needed need gap for that category for sure. But I'm often told by big players to stay away from that segment due to unit economics. And reading your juncture of financial year 2021, somewhere I felt the concern is real, or you have started, bucking the trend.
No, I think we have started bucking the trend, and I will tell you why. Because on a variable basis, we are profitable in Bangalore city and Bombay city.
Yeah.
Our hypothesis is that, many other platforms before us, they had physical people on the ground to show homes, to onboard properties. We have zero physical people on the ground. Ours is a platform which works more like a Facebook, in which owner posts his property, so the content is not ours, and the content consumption is being done by a tenant or a buyer, basically. So both of them are dealing with each other, and we have paid plans in between, and that also fully optional. So a small percentage of our customers use them because they are premium and they basically help them reach their goal faster. Otherwise, you are most welcome to do it free of cost. Our going hypothesis is that when a street side broker, and you can see street side broker across the country, I think more than 1 million of brokers, all of them are profitable, all of them. So there is no reason why a technology based platform cannot be profitable. We will be profitable. We are moving towards a direction. And my hope is that in the next 18 to 24 months, we will be profitable. The only reason why we have to spend now and burn cash is because we are adding many categories. So we basically, for example, added home interiors. So we had to establish the physical experience center for that. So many of these services require initial capital.
So adding to your answer that you're adding, a lot of verticals in your NoBroker, I wanted to speak about NoBroker Hood journey. So could you summarize for our audience in terms of the numbers and, the impact it has been making, especially in the whole rental market dominance? Is NoBroker Hood turning out to be the go-to market strategy?
Okay, great to know. Good to know. I think people who ask me NoBroker Hood question, I assume that they have done good. They have good knowledge about NoBroker. They have done good research. So thanks for that. So NoBroker Hood is an extremely key element of our overall strategy. What NoBroker Hood, we are around 15,000 societies, if I'm not wrong, and across millions of homes. What NoBroker Hood allows us is two things. One is, of course, it solves a big customer problem in terms of security, in terms of maintenance bills, and so on and so forth, which is great for urban India. Second, on a longer term basis, it allows us to reach out to our customers on a more consistent basis. So while NoBroker you use for once in a year, NoBroker Hood you use multiple times in a day. So NoBroker remains in customers' memory much longer, much deeper. And these are the customers who eventually funnel into NoBroker as a real estate customer. So we have been investing in this vertical for the past 4 years now, and we are going very strong. And our hope from NoBroker Hood is for it to be a very large customer base, a very loyal customer base, a huge customer remembrance of NoBroker brand, and making lives of people better.
So somewhere I feel NoBroker Hood is in competition with MyGate. So their alliance with urban company is aiming for a hyper local dominance. Do you think this move is going to help them turn profitable or become the first choice for societies? And what is your strategy and moat around NoBroker Hood?
So I don't think I have enough information to comment on MyGate. I just hope that despite the partnerships, the customer data should remain data privacy should remain the top notch requirement for everybody in the industry. Given that NoBroker Hood, the only reason why any society will use NoBroker Hood is if the product is better than everybody else. Yeah. And I think that the NoBroker Hood product is both VMS as well as ERP are far superior than anybody else who offers in the market. The customer service that we offer, the concern for the client, you basically call us in the middle of the night that the app is not working, and we basically make sure that we listen to you and we sort it out. I think that customer centeredness is very high in NoBroker Hood. I think that's the only reason why customers will continue us for long. So that is the thing that we are focusing on.
Okay. So tell me, in terms of, we have spoken a lot about the proptech, but in terms of, you must have noticed last year, repo hike rate has impacted the home loan rates. So do you see what kind of trend you would be noticing this year? Would it affect your residential market?
So there are two things. One is whether the rates are high or not, and second, where do I see it going? So to answer the first question, our repo rate right now is at 6.25%. If you look at past 20-year historic averages, the repo rate has been in the range of 6 to 8%. So from a historical perspective, we are still at a lower range of what the repo rates had been. And I have personally seen and taken home loan at a much higher rate. And for a 20-year cycle, the rates are not high. They are moderate at best. So first of all, the rates are not high. And hence, despite these continuous increase in rates in the past year, there has been no impact in terms of either home loan or offtake or be it sales of flats. In fact, if you look at the credit growth of banking industry, it was pretty muted in the year 2020-2021. And now is the time when you are seeing the credit growth. The banking industry as such has huge amount of deposits, but not good avenue to give credit. And home loan is one of the safest assets out there. That is why today all the banks are basically more than happy to give credit. So one is this. Second is, if the question is also about where the real estate rates are going, I think looking at what US Fed is doing, mirroring that, I think one more hike is on the card. Anyway, the pace of rate hikes, the quantum has reduced in the recent RBI rate hike. I think one more rate hike is perhaps on the card, and that's it. I don't think inflation numbers, which you would have seen today or yesterday, which came, they are anyway cooling down. And yesterday night also CPI data of US also came. So inflation is cooling down across US as well as India. One more rate hike to the best. So I think we are in a good place.
So what are you expecting from the upcoming budget? Like, do you have any expectation the government should look into it for real estate?
So my expectation has been same every year, but it doesn't get fulfilled. I think instead of saying any fancy things, I would, on the behalf of all Indian consumers, I would suggest that the cap which has been basically put for the interest deduction, the home loan interest deduction, that should be indexed to inflation. Instead of keeping a 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh limit, it should be indexed to inflation, because inflation itself is increasing. So if there's a 10% or 6% inflation, index to it and keep on increasing it. Because then otherwise you are reducing it in a way, artificially. And second is that now with disposable income, people do buy two homes. And hence this reversal, which basically happened few budgets before, where you could only claim for one home loan interest deduction and not two. I think that should be done away with, because if you want people to invest their savings in homes, allow them to do it for two homes. That are the two things that I would request the government for.
So how has been your strategy, to get your customer pay their rent while your platform playing out? As a customer acquisition, the strategy is pretty good. Though from what I've learned that from every transaction, there's a loss. But I have seen, according to your platform, whenever the retention of the customer is there to engage with them, make sure that their next home transaction is done via you guys. So would you mind telling us how has been this working out for you?
This is a great question. So what basically rent payment allows us to do is give us a huge amount of insight into customers' behavior. So for example, if you have been paying rent for say 10 months on NoBroker platform, and on 11th month you discontinue, then we know that you are the right customer for us to be engaged for your rental needs, for your real estate needs. And in case you have just started paying rent, then perhaps you're a new customer who has its own need, be it painting, be it movers. So we are now offering myriad services across the real estate journey. And I think this basically, first of all, it engages customers with us on a monthly basis, which is awesome for us. And second is that this gives us this important information as to when is the right time for us to remind you about ourselves.
Okay. So I've been also noticing, NoBroker team is now actively seen in primary market sales too. So would love to know how much is this part of the business contributing to overall revenue share? And this market is currently already very cluttered. So do you see this segment playing out for you in the future?
So the revenue from this segment keeps on growing every month. We are very, very enthusiastic about this vertical, and the way in which we have thought about this vertical is a little different. So we don't do ads of brokers, or any brokers is not possible, of even builders on our platform. So if you go to NoBroker platform, unlike other platforms which showcase the ads, we make zero ad revenue, and we do not put any ads of any builder. Our objective is more like a solutioning. So a customer comes on NoBroker platform and says that, hey, I want an apartment. We tell him that we have these many resale apartments that you can choose from. In case he says that, no, I want a freshly built or under construction builder apartment, then we have tie up with a lot of builders, as you mentioned, in the primary sale, and then we connect the customer to the builder. And then for that, we take a fees from the builder. Another thing which is very different from us is that many of the players in this industry have had issues of account receivables, builders not paying them on time and so on. We book our revenue only when we get money from the builder. We don't book any revenue in our books until the cash hits our account. So we are very, very careful about that aspect. And as far as builders are concerned, see, what do they need? They need genuine customers coming to us. And at NoBroker today, we are getting more than 6 lakhs new customers are registering on NoBroker every month, which basically, and till now, in the history of NoBroker, in the past 8 years, we have cumulatively 2 crore customers. Now, 2 crore is itself a very good number. We are only in 6 cities, and having a 2 crore customer base is good. But look at the 6 lakh number. 6 lakh monthly basically means 72 lakh new customers per year. So we basically added 2 crore customers in 8 years. But now in every year, we are adding 1/3 of the customers. So the pace of growth is really exponential. And so we basically offer a platform which has a very high traction, very high active users. And that is very beneficial for either the sellers, be it resale sellers or be it builders.
So could you explain me your revenue model? Because I was going through the financial year of 2021, where they have shown how much subscription NoBroker is getting the revenue from that particular segment, also from the NoBroker Pay. And then there are smaller segments like your lead generation and everything. Could you explain us about your revenue model?
Sure. So I may not be able to basically tell the exact numbers in terms of the percentages, but I can basically paint a picture which basically gives you a very good idea about our structure. So our primary revenue source is real estate, which basically has where the biggest component is in terms of the uh, uh, paid plans that customers purchase from us. So for example, if you're an owner, you can post your property for free or no, there's no problem. But because there are many people who are posting properties on NoBroker. In fact, close to 3 lakh properties are being posted every month. And if you want your property to be on the top slot, then there is a paid plan, which is anyway a fraction of what a broker would have charged. And similarly, for tenant and buyers, there are some premium facilities for which there's an optional paid plan. Now, many of the customers use this and their properties get rented out faster because of obvious technological reason, and so on and so forth. So this basically forms the biggest chunk. It also includes property management services. So we have a property management vertical in which we take your home and we manage it. In terms of that, we find the tenant for you, we do 6 monthly inspection for you, and then we manage the move out. So this is the primary one. This is the main one. Then there are other two, which are services and financial services. So home services consist of packers and movers primarily, and then also aided by painting, cleaning, and now home interiors. The last one is financial services, which has rent payment that you discussed, and also home loans, insurance, along with it.
There are few proptech founders that have approached us and told us about their certain restriction or certain grievances that they face when they go for fundraising, especially if their ideas, and why I'm asking this because you have faced the same, especially if their idea is not a replicate of already existing model, be in global market, US and China, and they come up with new ideas in India and try to pitch to investors. They are very hard to convince the investors. So what would be your key insight to help these entrepreneurs to help in raising fund, especially if their model is not there as a replica in global market?
So I think this is something which we struggled with, and perhaps we even struggle with now, because when we first approach investors, they said, who are you copy of, or whom are you inspired with in US or China? Are you a Uber of something? You are Amazon of something? Mm-hmm. And answer is no, we are not inspired by anyone else. We are solving a very India specific problem. So my suggestion to these entrepreneurs are that please go on, because many of the problems are large in size and they are very, very India specific, and which basically gives a huge opportunity. And perhaps that's the reason why no other Amazon or Uber is going to come to India and solve them, because they haven't faced those problems anywhere in their country. So there's a very beautiful opportunity. Other companies from other countries are not going to come to India. The only thing that we need to do is figure out how to solve the problem, and in case you need funds, then how to convince the investors in India. So we did struggle convincing the investors, but I think the data and the customer acceptance is the ultimate truth. So many of the investors who were not convinced about NoBroker journey, when they saw the numbers increasing, when they saw that customers are using NoBroker as a first port of call. So today customers first come to NoBroker, check whether they can whether they can find a house, and if they can't, then they go to a broker or any other port. I think finally the decision maker is customer. It may feel as if the decision maker is founder or it is the investor, but it is not. And the reverse is also true. If you think this is an India solution, customers don't agree with it, it will not fly.
So you're saying if they are approaching investors with this new model or new business ideas, they should back it up with some data analytics.
Yes, and with whatever customers are saying. I'll just give you an example, anecdote. So many of the investors whom we met early on, some of them I remember saying, hey, what is such a big deal about paying brokerage? We have a flat, we have 2 flats in South Bombay, and we pay the broker whatever is due. What is the problem? Why do we need a company who wants to save brokerage? So I had to tell them that, hey, you are not our customer.
Yeah.
Our customers are basically those mass segment for whom a monthly rent is 30 to 40% of cash take home every month, who spend 1/3 or 1/4 or half of their monthly salary paying the rent. For them, paying that much equivalent amount additional every year is a huge burden.
Definitely.
And that is what we are basically going after. So many a times investor needs to be told that while it seems to be a solution for everybody, it is not for you. And the customer is someone else. And this is his photo, this is how he looks like, this is how his life is. And this is how happy he is when you solve his problem.
So do customer service as well.
Yes. I think painting that picture of customer trouble and what the trouble means for him is extremely important.
True. So is there any other advice from your end for the entrepreneurs in proptech when they are planning to raise funds, apart from, of course, the data analytics and the customer survey?
Second advice would be that try to get to revenue initiation stage as soon as possible. So for example, see, in India is a large country, large population. If you offer everything for free, often it is easy to get lots of customers very quickly. But the moment you ask customer a single rupee, he becomes very demanding, which I'm sure as an entrepreneur you would have also observed. So it's extremely important that you do not chase what investors are saying. Many of the initial investors get excited with seeing free customer data and how the customers are increasing.
Yeah.
I would suggest that try to initiate revenue mechanism very soon. So for example, we opened our office in 2015 in February. Within 6 months, we launched our paid plans. And I remember many of the investors telling us, what is the hurry? Shouldn't you gain a critical weight or critical number before you start charging customer? We said, yeah, we will. And we are keeping it optional, but we want to start now. We don't want to be told or realize later that revenue doesn't work. Because PropTech, the problem has been that there have been amazing founders, amazing companies, but continuous cash burn with no revenue in sight. That is not acceptable over a longer term.
So tell me, we have spoken about the PropTech entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you must be observing so many PropTech companies that are entering in Indian real estate market. Is there any particular companies that you are following and you admire?
In which space?
In PropTech space, in India.
See, in PropTech space, I admire every competitor in general. I can't name any specific company, but I think all the competitors are very, very worthy competitors, very, very tough competitors that we had the fortune or misfortune of competing with and amazing founders. So I think the talent which is there across the PropTech industry, be it the SaaS sort of companies or be it the direct platform companies, I'm friends with many of them. Amazing companies, amazing founders, and we feel blessed to be in this space working with them. And the amazing thing is that all of us combined would have 5% market share?
Yeah.
Maximum 10% market share. All of us combined. Still, the majority of the market is basically unorganized, customer struggling on its own. Today also, despite NoBroker being there for 8 years, I cannot say that you will surely get your property as an Indian citizen, you will get the property fastest, cheapest, everywhere. No, in some cities you will, in some other cities you will not. Huge problem to be solved. And Roti Kapda Makan is the largest basically industry in any country. So as RealtyNXT knows it pretty well. Yeah.
Amit, I'll do this new round which we had started with last series is rapid questions, where I'm going to ask you a few personal questions for our audience, for our young entrepreneurs to know more about you. So my first question would be, who has been your role model and why?
My role model has been my father, because he came from a very, very poor economic background. And from his own efforts and studies, he then became a civil servant. And it is because of him that we had these opportunities and qualifications that we could garner.
Which book you are currently reading and why would you recommend it?
So I'm rereading the book called The Reluctant Billionaire. And it is basically a biography of Dilip Sangvi, who is the entrepreneur of Sun Pharma. Amazing book. I often read books about foreign entrepreneurs, but very rarely do I get to read a book which is good about Indian entrepreneurs. I have a personal bias in favor of Indian entrepreneurs. I think so many Gujarati entrepreneurs, so many good entrepreneurs India has. Entrepreneurship is in Indian blood. I think we should celebrate and look up to Indian entrepreneurs with Indian context much more than trying to emulate Western entrepreneurs.
I agree with that. And mantra of life and work that you live by?
Be optimistic. As an entrepreneur, you also know every day something is going wrong. There is some fire somewhere, and I suggest that it is extremely critical that we basically have this streak of optimism as an entrepreneur with us, where we believe that things will work out. And I think in reality also, in real estate also, when you are buying a property, you are buying it for long term. You are not buying it for today. You're buying it for 10 years, 20 years. This optimism that Indian real estate is going to do well, Indian consumers still prefer real estate as a solid investment to lean on, especially in their retirement age, is not going to change easily. Yeah. So optimism is something which is, I would say, a cornerstone of my philosophy.
And the best advice you have ever received in your life, also the worst advice?
I think the best advice which I have received is not taking any risk, which is more of a quote from Mark Zuckerberg, is that not taking a risk in life is the biggest risk. I think this has been my life-changing advice, because we often think about things that we can do or we should do. But what about the risk of omission? What about the risk of not doing something? When you retire, when you are 60 years old, when you are sitting on your that armchair, would you repent something, not trying? Yeah. I think that is the risk of omission is something that we often ignore. So that's the best advice. Worst advice, I don't think I remember. I think I did not heed to it, so I don't remember.
Okay. So what is your go-to stress buster? Like, I'm sure day to day you must be quite busy with your meetings and everything, but still, end of the day, you want to, in this, it doesn't apply spending time with family and all, but what is your regular go-to stress buster?
I think taking a book and reading it is my biggest stress buster. So give me any book about any subject, be it history, be it psychology, be it health, be it entrepreneur, be it sports. I just love reading books, different genres, and that really relaxes me.
That's great to know. So you're an avid reader.
Yes.
So if not real estate sector, and of course do not mention banking, you are from the banking background. So if not real estate sector, which sector you would have chosen to build your career upon?
I think if not banking, any sector, I'm open to any sector. And I'll tell you the reason. The reason is that I basically don't think from a sector point of view. I think more from a customer problem point of view. So me and my co-founders had no experience in real estate. So when we decided on NoBroker, the thought did not cross our mind that we entering into a real estate sector which is considered dirty, or which is not considered professional, or which is not considered for an IIT guy to join. No. That thing people told us later. The thing which basically appealed to us was the problem. That why should I? So I was living in an apartment and I was trying to change a home. I couldn't find it. And later when I went through a broker, I found the home 2 floors above where I was living. And like, what is this? I can't find a spare home in my own building. This is the level of entrenchment that a broker has done in our lives. Yeah. And the brokerage has done in our lives. So I think the problem is what appealed me. So had it not been real estate, I think any other sector, the problem should have been appealing.
But Amit, I've noticed in past 2 years, lot of engineers have got into real estate.
Yeah.
So you guys have in certain way impacted that, because earlier youngsters even parents used to look into real estate is not a good business. You know, it's very unorganized and everything doesn't seem, right. Everything's in gray area, but that has changed. A lot of the IIT guys or the IIM guys are entering into real estate.
No, you are right. And without taking the name of the founder of the company, I would tell you an anecdote that I met a real estate founder, and he told me that when NoBroker became a unicorn in terms of valuation, they had a cake cutting ceremony in their office as a celebration towards the real estate sector. Because think about, as I said, roti kapda makan, think about roti, that two food delivery companies are above $10 billion valuation. Think about kapda, which is basically Flipkart, Amazon. These companies are by basically $20 billion valuation just in India. And then look at makan. We have only one unicorn right now, but the industry is as large as any other industry. So the next decade, I hope that there will be many, many unicorns, and more and more engineers will attack at this problem, because the problem is still unsolved. We have been able to partly solve it, but a huge way for us to go. Industry basically offers huge space to lots of shining entrepreneurs.
True. So personal goals that you have set for 2023, if you have to name two.
I think one is to spend more time with family, much more time, especially with my kids growing up. And second is high focus in terms of health, trying to be lean, making sure that sports, I'm consistent in sports. So I play badminton, but the consistency is something which I need to ensure.
Great. And the work resolution you have taken for this year?
I think coming to office, coming to work is always, I tap dance to work, as Warren Buffett famously says, because the charm of working with such amazing people is great. So the goal for this year is what we decided, what links back to the first question that you had asked, is to basically move towards profitability. So the key goal for this year, the two key goals is one, move towards profitability, and second is that hopefully be free of COVID waves, and hence a much higher uptick in revenue is what we are aiming for.
And this I couldn't find anywhere, so that's why I want to ask you your 3 favorite dishes.
Butter chicken, pizza, and biryani. All unhealthy.
That's why it will just contradict with the health and the dishes with your...
Yes.
Okay. So the last, not the least, one thing which you want young entrepreneurs, even your kids, to always remember, whatever problem they are tackling with regards to their personal life or professional, what they should look into first?
I think this is what I tell my kids, whenever you fall, get up back. Getting up back is more important than succeeding. So if I could basically help them with one lesson, I would say, keep on trying. It does not matter whether you succeed or not, but this ability to keep on trying is the only thing which matters longer term, because I have never seen anybody who has this undying spirit of keep on trying, who hasn't met with success. I think success comes with you sooner or later, and we might be talking and you might be basically, the audience might be thinking that I am some special person, but I am not. I basically when I was in IIT, I was an average ranker in IIT. When I went to IIM Ahmedabad, then I got average grades. And when I joined, of course, I still belong to an IIT IIM situation, but my career was cruising normally, which an average person would have. But I think the spirit of continuously trying is the one which basically matches with the opportunity, and then you get a chance to leapfrog from where you are. So perhaps that is what I would suggest.
No, I agree. That's like a universal mantra as well, because you need to keep on going. In our entrepreneur journey or in any scenarios, we have to keep going. There'll be a lot of hurdles, there'll be a lot of struggles. And there'll be a moment where you would have that weakness, why are you doing this? Let it be. There's nothing, no return coming. So at that moment, I think you should still push yourself and still go ahead.
Yeah, correct. And every entrepreneur, I think audience should remember, should know that entrepreneurs like both of us might seem confident on this talk, but all of us are anxious, all of us are fearful of what wrong can happen, all of us are insecure at some level. So these feelings don't go away. when you are running something of your own, because then you are responsible for a much larger team than what you were earlier. So we go through the same troubles, same emotional upheavals, perhaps even more than what anybody else would. But the only differentiator is we had a cockroach. We always have had a cockroach philosophy that we will not die. So no, apart from our seed investor, no other Indian investor invested in us from 2015 to 2019 for 4 years. No Indian investor invested in us. Everybody said that no, we have already burnt our hands in previous attempts at real estate, but we just survived. I think showing up to work and surviving is half the battle won.
Last but not the least, I'm sure you would have noticed in real estate, the women entrepreneurs are pretty less. What would change, or what kind of change should be seen so that women entrepreneurs are welcome more in the real estate domain? What do you think?
I think it is perhaps just a mental block. See, my wife is my IIT Kanpur batchmate, Priyanka, and she's far more intelligent than me. I have studied in IIT. I have been beaten by women all throughout my life, be it in terms of grades or be it in terms of profession. So I think it is only about why more people are not trying. See, today I would say even in the investing community, there is a very strong thought of how to encourage more women entrepreneurs. So I think perhaps the perception that real estate is a field which is not worthy for women to come needs to change. So many engineers are coming, and and within real estate is not about basically, don't imagine real estate as somebody carrying the brick and building a building. That is not real estate. Real estate is the entire journey from start to end, which has different aspects, the way in which you mentioned about B2B, B2C, and C2C. And field which women would find very exciting to work in, to lead in, to make companies in. I think the only reason why we are not seeing more women entrepreneurs is the old traditional mental block. But this field is ripe for many more amazing women entrepreneurs to take charge and win.
And last but not the least, I want to wrap up before keeping you too long for this. Your work culture, I have been hearing NoBroker work culture is pretty good. So what you had in mind in the beginning, because of course, once you set up the company, you are very much sure this is the work culture I want to continue in my own, company, based on the experiences you must have had in your previous jobs and everything. But what kind of work culture you had from the start in the beginning, that this is how it should be. This is where I want even the women employees to be more involved in this real estate market, or we have a culture where we provide the equal pay, everything. So what kind of culture did you have in the mind in the beginning, and are you following the same?
So two aspects. One was that the objective is that everybody is welcome as long as you are meritorious. Because we are a capitalistic enterprise. So for us, the most important thing is to build shareholder wealth, apart from solving customer problem. So from the very start, whatever we could do in terms of encouraging women entrepreneurs. For example, if somebody has joined and she needs a maternity break, we most welcome it. We support her to make sure that even in the months where she needs our help, work from home, taking longer leaves, everything we do to make sure that she can join us back. And that happened successfully many times. Ensuring, for example, in office, ensuring that if we don't feel that it is safe to travel in night alone after say 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. So we don't allow any woman to work till that late. Even if your boss is saying, your boss cannot say for you to work that late, so that there is never any untoward incident. It makes my heart extremely happy to see that many of the women in whose family a woman has never worked before. And they are the first women who are coming to a NoBroker and working. And I could see the worried parents coming to office, looking at office, whether this is a safe place for my daughter to work, and then asking a daughter that, okay, theek hai, tum kar lo kaam yahan par. That gives me very happiness. Enabling first women of a family to earn money, to work professionally and succeed, basically paves way for many future generation. So that personally makes me very happy. Apart from that, the work culture has been and is exactly opposite of what I hated. So what I hated was when I was working for someone else was micromanagement, favoritism. Uh, so I need to make sure that I take care of the introvert people much more than I take care of extrovert people, because they don't speak their mind, and their work should not be outshone by people who tom their work too much just because they speak a lot. And so you may be introvert, you may be extrovert, you may be fresher, you may be younger, or you may be more experienced or less experienced. Everybody in a meeting room, the merit of the argument should always win, not how old you are or whether you are the boss or you are the junior guy. That is what I always wanted, and that is the culture that I have ensured in NoBroker.
So that's a lovely culture. I completely love the thought, because I've always felt the same during my career span also. Age should not matter. Like, even if I'm young and I'm telling the older person that this is not right, it should not matter. The merit, as you said, what is the merit in basis of how the debate is going, or what facts are coming, that should be looked upon more than what age, what experience is coming on the table.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amit, for joining us on Let's Talk Business series at RealtyNXT. It was lovely having you and having to know more about NoBroker Hood and the insights from you.
No, I enjoyed this discussion a lot. Thank you so much for having me. I think the questions also that you asked were very, very deeper in terms of the subject content, and I think it must have added a huge amount of value to the audience. Very, very well-researched questions. Not the typical run-of-the-mill questions that many other people ask me. So thank you for doing so much of research and so much of deep groundwork for NoBroker. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Amit.